Right now, there's a fruit sitting on kitchen counters across the world that millions of people eat every single morning, believing it helps their health. They slice it into their cereal. They blend it into smoothies. They grab it on the way out the door because it seems like the perfect quick breakfast. And for most people with blood sugar concerns, that fruit is quietly making things worse. I am going to tell you exactly which fruit that is before this video ends. But more importantly, I am going to give you something that almost no one provides when it comes to fruit and blood sugar. A complete, honest, science-based guide that separates the fruits that genuinely help from the ones that demand serious caution. No vague advice. No unnecessary fear. Just the information you actually need to make confident decisions. Here is what we are covering today. The 10 best fruits for blood sugar management. Rank from helpful to exceptional. Then the 5 fruits that most people underestimate. The ones with hidden costs that can quietly undermine your glucose control if you are not paying attention. If you have ever felt confused about fruit, today that confusion ends. The advice people receive about fruit and diabetes is genuinely broken. Ask one expert, and they will tell you fruit is basically sugar with a better reputation. Avoid it entirely or treat it like dessert. Ask another expert, and they will tell you fruit is natural, whole, and filled with nutrients. Eat as much as you want because your body knows how to handle it. Both of these positions sound reasonable. Both come from people who seem credible. And both are incomplete in ways that cause real problems. Here is what happens because of that confusion. Some people cut fruit out of their lives completely. They stop eating berries, apples, and citrus. They miss out on fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and compounds that research has shown actually support metabolic health. They trade one problem for another. Other people hear that fruit is natural and take that as permission to eat it without any strategy at all. A smoothie with 3 servings of fruit for breakfast. Dried mango as an afternoon snack. Grapes by the handful while watching television. Then they check their glucose and wonder why the numbers keep climbing despite eating what they thought was healthy. Neither approach works. And neither is necessary. Because the truth about fruit and blood sugar is not complicated once you understand how to evaluate it properly. There are fruits that genuinely support stable glucose levels. And there are fruits that require careful management. Knowing the difference changes everything. That is exactly what we are building today. A clear, practical map you can use for the rest of your life. If you have been searching for this kind of straightforward health guidance, you are in the right place. Subscribe to Health Unveiled and hit the notification bell because this is the kind of content we put out every week. Clear answers to the health questions that actually matter. Let us start with the foundation. Before I give you the list, I need to give you 2 tools. Without these tools, the list is just a collection of names. With them, you will understand why each fruit earned its place, and you'll be able to evaluate any fruit on your own, even ones I do not mention today. The first tool is called the glycemic index, or GI. Think of the glycemic index as a measure of speed. Specifically, how fast does the sugar from a particular food enter your bloodstream after you eat it? A high glycemic index, anything above 70, means sugar hits your blood quickly. Your glucose spikes. Your pancreas has to respond urgently. Your body goes into reactive mode. And that kind of repeated stress is exactly what people managing blood sugar are trying to avoid. A low glycemic index, anything below 55, means sugar enters your bloodstream slowly and steadily. Your system has time to process it calmly. That is the goal. But speed alone does not tell the whole story. And this is where the second tool becomes essential. The second tool is called glycemic load, or GL. If glycemic index measures speed, glycemic load measures volume. It tells you how much sugar actually ends up in your bloodstream when you eat a realistic portion of that food. Here is why this matters. A food might release its sugar quickly, but if the total amount of sugar is small, the overall impact stays manageable. Glycemic load captures that reality. A glycemic load under 10 is generally considered safe for blood sugar management. A glycemic load above 20 is a serious concern. Here is the principle I want you to carry with you. When choosing fruit for stable blood sugar, you want both a low glycemic index and a low glycemic load, slow entry and modest total volume. One without the other gives you incomplete information. One more thing before we get into the list. I'm going to hold every fruit to the same standard, a portion of roughly 120 grams or about 4 ounces. That way we are comparing fairly, not measuring a handful against a whole bowl. Now, let us build your list. We are starting at number 10 and working toward the fruit I recommend most highly. Number 10 is plums. Plums do not get nearly the recognition they deserve. With a glycemic index of 39 and a glycemic load of just 5, plums sit comfortably in safe territory for anyone managing their blood sugar. But there is more to the plum story than just favorable numbers. Plums contain compounds called phenolics that research has associated with improved liver function. Why does liver function matter for blood sugar? Because your liver plays a central role in regulating glucose. When your liver works efficiently, your entire metabolic system benefits. Plums are also rich in vitamin C, naturally sweet, and satisfy in a way that makes them a genuine treat. If you have been overlooking plums, it might be time to reconsider. Number 9 is pears. A ripe pear has a glycemic index of 38 and a glycemic load of just 4. Those are excellent numbers. But here is what I need you to understand about pears specifically. The fiber in a pear is not evenly distributed throughout the fruit. A significant portion of it is concentrated directly beneath the skin. If you peel your pear before eating it, you are removing a substantial amount of the very thing that makes it blood sugar friendly. That fiber acts as a physical barrier. It slows down the release of sugar into your bloodstream and gives your body time to process what you're eating without spiking your glucose. Eat your pears whole. Eat the skin. Do not throw away the protection. Number 8 is apples. Glycemic index of 36. Glycemic load of 6. You already know apples are considered a healthy choice. But I want to explain exactly why they work so well for blood sugar management. Apples contain a type of soluble fiber called pectin. Pectin does more than just slow sugar absorption. It forms a gel-like substance in your digestive tract that helps trap cholesterol and carry it out of your body. Here is why that matters beyond blood sugar. People with type 2 diabetes face significantly elevated cardiovascular risk. Heart disease is the number one long-term complication. When you eat a food that supports both glucose stability and cholesterol management, you are addressing two critical concerns with a single choice. Eat your apple with the skin on. That is where the highest concentration of pectin and polyphenol lives. An apple a day may be a cliche, but the science behind it is real. Number 7 is passion fruit. Glycemic index of 27. Glycemic load of 5. Those numbers are remarkable. Passion fruit is one of the most blood sugar-friendly options available, yet most people have never thought to include it in their regular routine. But passion fruit offers something unexpected beyond its favorable glucose profile. It contains compounds that have mild calming properties and may support better quality sleep. Why would a discussion about blood sugar mention sleep? Because research has clearly established that poor sleep directly worsens insulin resistance. One night of inadequate sleep can raise your fasting glucose the following morning as if you had eaten poorly. Passion fruit is not just a safe snack. It can be a strategic evening choice that supports your metabolic health from multiple angles. Number 6 is oranges. And I need you to pay close attention here, because what I am about to explain has more practical impact on daily blood sugar management than almost anything else in this video. A whole orange, eaten with all its segments intact, has a glycemic index of 40 and a glycemic load of just 5. Those are safe, beneficial numbers. The fiber slows sugar absorption. The vitamins support your immune system. Whole oranges are genuinely good for you. But orange juice is not the same food. I need to say that again because this single distinction trips up more people than almost any other fruit-related mistake. Think about what happens when you pour yourself a glass of orange juice. How many oranges does it take to fill that glass? 2? 3? Sometimes more. Now ask yourself honestly, would you ever sit down and eat 3 whole oranges in a single sitting? Almost certainly not. You would eat one, feel satisfied, and stop. But in juice form, you consume 3 oranges worth of sugar in under a minute without even noticing it happened. The fiber that would have slowed everything down is gone, left behind in the pulp. What reaches your bloodstream is a concentrated wave of sugar that your body has to handle all at once. The glycemic load of a typical glass of orange juice exceeds 20. That is the danger zone. Here is the painful irony. The person drinking fresh squeezed orange juice every morning thinks they are making a healthy choice. No added sugar. Natural, full of vitamin C. And yet that habit may be one of the most significant contributors to their glucose instability. It is not about what was added to the juice. It is about what was removed. The fiber was removed. And fiber is a protection. Eat your orange. Do not drink it. If you're finding this helpful, take a moment to hit the like button. It helps more people find this information, and it tells us to keep making content like this. Now, let us continue to the top 5. This is where the fruits become even more valuable. Number 5 is kiwi. Glycemic index of 38. Glycemic load of 9. Kiwi earns its spot here for 2 distinct reasons. The first reason is straightforward. Kiwi has a genuinely low impact on blood glucose. It is gentle on your system and easy to incorporate into your diet. The second reason is particularly important for people managing diabetes. Kiwi is exceptionally dense in antioxidants, particularly vitamin C and vitamin E working together. Research has shown that this combination may help reduce blood pressure over time. Why does blood pressure matter in a conversation about fruit and diabetes? Because approximately 2/3 of people with type 2 diabetes also develop high blood pressure. These conditions travel together, and managing both simultaneously through food choices is enormously valuable. Kiwi lets you fight on 2 fronts at once: glucose stability and cardiovascular support in a single small fruit. Number 4 is strawberries. Glycemic index of 41. Glycemic load of 3. That glycemic load of 3 puts strawberries among the safest fruits you can possibly eat when it comes to blood sugar impact. But safety is only part of the strawberry story. Strawberries get their deep red color from a class of compounds called anthocyanins. These are among the most powerful cardiovascular protectors available through food. Research has linked regular anthocyanin intake to improve blood vessel function and reduced inflammation throughout the circulatory system. The blood vessels that feed your heart, your kidneys, and your eyes are the structures most at risk as diabetes progresses over years and decades. Anthocyanins directly support the health and integrity of those vessels. This is why I recommend eating strawberries frequently, not just occasionally. A handful of strawberries several times per week is a simple habit with compounding benefits. Number 3 is guava. Glycemic index of 23. Glycemic load of 3. I want you to notice that glycemic index of 23. That is extraordinarily low. For perspective, white bread scores around 75. A guava and a slice of white bread could not be more different in how they affect your blood sugar. But I brought guava to this position on the list for another reason. There is a myth circulating that has genuinely frightened people away from fruit they should be eating, and I want to address it directly. The claim goes like this: fructose, the sugar found in fruit, damages your liver. Therefore, all fruit is dangerous for people with diabetes. This claim is misleading, and it needs to be corrected. Here is what the research actually shows. Fructose becomes problematic when it arrives in your body in concentrated, isolated form. Soda, high fructose corn syrup, processed fruit juices. When your liver receives large amounts of pure fructose without fiber, water, or other nutrients, it processes that fructose in a way that can cause metabolic problems over time. But the fructose naturally present in a whole guava is a completely different situation. That fructose arrives alongside fiber that slows its absorption, water that dilutes its concentration, vitamins and polyphenol that support your metabolic health. The total package changes everything. Your liver does not treat a guava the same way it treats a can of soda. The delivery system matters. Do not let fear of a single word keep you from foods that genuinely support your health. Whole fruit is not the enemy. Processed, concentrated sugar is. Number 2 is peaches. Glycemic index of 42. Glycemic load of 4. I call peaches a forgiving fruit because they offer something psychologically important that we do not talk about enough. Managing blood sugar is not just about numbers. It is about sustainability. And sustainability requires foods that feel satisfying, foods that feel like a reward rather than a restriction. Peaches are sweet enough to genuinely satisfy a craving. They taste like summer. They feel indulgent. And yet their glycemic load is low enough that they remain a safe harbor for anyone concerned about glucose stability. I want to use this moment to answer a question I know many of you have been wondering about. Does this list apply only to people with type 2 diabetes? What about type 1? What about people who are pre-diabetic or newly diagnosed? The answer is that these principles serve anyone with any form of blood glucose management challenge. The science of how fruit affects blood sugar does not change based on your specific diagnosis. Low glycemic index and low glycemic load benefit everyone working to maintain stable glucose levels. These are not niche recommendations for advanced cases. They are fundamental principles that apply broadly. Number 1 is fresh cherries. Glycemic index of 27. Glycemic load as close to perfect numbers as you'll find anywhere in the fruit world. But I need to emphasize the word fresh because there is another version of cherries that represents the exact opposite of what I'm recommending. Those bright red or neon-colored cherries that come preserved in syrup, the kind used to decorate desserts and cocktails, have been sitting in concentrated sugar for months. They bear essentially no relationship to fresh cherries from a blood sugar perspective. Stay far away from those. Fresh cherries, in addition to their excellent glycemic profile, contain anthocyanins and other anti-inflammatory compounds that research has linked to reduced vascular inflammation. This matters profoundly because vascular inflammation is one of the primary drivers of the cardiovascular complications that diabetes can cause over time. If there's one fruit I would most want to see in the kitchen of someone managing their blood sugar, it is fresh cherries. When they are in season, prioritize them. That completes the top 10. But now I need your full attention because what comes next is where many people make quiet, consistent mistakes without ever realizing it. The fruits I am about to discuss are not poison. They are not forbidden. Some of them are genuinely nutritious and offer real benefits. But for someone actively managing blood sugar, they come with costs that must be acknowledged. Eating them carelessly, without strategy or awareness, is where problems develop. These are what I call high negotiation fruits. They require more thought, more planning, and more honesty about your own eating behaviors. What makes these fruits particularly tricky is that they have good reputations. They show up in wellness articles, hospital cafeterias, and healthy eating guides. They are not obviously dangerous, and that is precisely what makes them so easy to underestimate. We have been in safe territory. Now we move into a different zone. Pay close attention. Number 5 on the caution list is papaya. Glycemic index of 58. Glycemic load of 10. Papaya sits right at the boundary of what is considered safe. I do not want to dismiss papaya entirely. It contains an enzyme called papain that genuinely helps with protein digestion and can relieve bloating and discomfort. That benefit is real and backed by research. But for someone managing blood sugar, the digestive benefit and the glucose impact arrive together. You cannot separate them. And at a glycemic load of 10, you have very little margin for error. If you eat papaya, keep your portion small. Never make it a daily habit. Always pair it with protein to help buffer the glucose response. Think of papaya as an occasional choice, not a staple. Number 4 on the caution list is pineapple. Glycemic index of 59. Glycemic load of 14. Pineapple has built an impressive reputation in wellness circles. You have probably encountered claims that it burns fat, reduces inflammation, and supports digestion through an enzyme called bromelain. Some of those claims have scientific support. But your pancreas does not care about pineapple's wellness reputation. It only responds to the sugar load. And at a glycemic load of 14, pineapple delivers a substantial glucose challenge. Here is the practical reality. Half a cup of pineapple, maximum, not a bowl, not a generous serving, because it feels healthy. Treat pineapple with the same respect you would give any high-sugar food, regardless of its natural origin. Number 3 on the caution list is mango. Glycemic index of 56. Glycemic load of 14. Mango is beloved around the world, and I understand why. The flavor is extraordinary. In many cultures, mango season is a genuine celebration. But I need to address a specific mistake I see constantly, and I need you to hear this clearly. Some people believe that if they add chia seeds, flax seeds, or protein powder to a mango smoothie, they have made it safe for blood sugar. This is a trap. Here is what actually happens. Those additions slow down the rate at which sugar enters your bloodstream. That is a glycemic index effect. Slower absorption. But the glycemic load, the total volume of sugar your body must process, remains completely unchanged. Your pancreas still has to deal with every gram of mango sugar. You have stretched the timeline, not reduced the burden. Think of it this way. Imagine you owe money. Someone offers to let you pay in smaller installments instead of one large payment. The debt does not shrink. You still owe every cent. That is what chia seeds do to mango. They change the payment schedule, not the total amount due. Do not use superfoods as permission slips to abandon portion discipline. They do not work that way. Number 2 on the caution list is bananas. Glycemic index of 62. Glycemic load of 16. Bananas are everywhere. They are inexpensive, portable, familiar, and genuinely nutritious in many ways. The potassium content supports healthy blood pressure. The B vitamins provide energy. I acknowledge all of that. But look at that glycemic load of 16. Earlier we discussed cherries with a glycemic load of 6. A banana delivers nearly 3 times the blood sugar impact. There's another factor with bananas that almost no one discusses, and it fundamentally changes how you should approach them. As a banana ripens, its starches convert to sugars. This is basic biochemistry. A banana with some green still in the peel contains substantial resistant starch that absorbs slowly and actually feeds beneficial gut bacteria. That same banana left to develop brown spots has converted most of that resistant starch into glucose and fructose that absorb rapidly. Same fruit, same size, dramatically different blood sugar outcome depending entirely on when you eat it. If you want to include bananas, follow 2 rules. First, choose bananas that are just ripe, with some green still visible. Avoid the heavily spotted ones. Second, consider eating half a banana rather than the whole thing, ideally paired with protein like nuts or eggs. And I want to be clear about something important. This information is meant to help you make better choices, not to replace any guidance from your doctor. Do not stop prescribed medications based on dietary changes without consulting a qualified healthcare provider. Number 1 on the caution list is grapes. And grapes earn this position for a reason that goes beyond their chemistry. Glycemic index of 61. Glycemic load of 12. Those numbers alone would warrant caution. But the real danger with grapes is behavioral. Think about the last time you sat down with a bunch of grapes. You plan to eat a few. You reach for one, then another. Before you realize what happened, you had eaten 25 or 30 grapes without registering that anything significant occurred. Grapes are small. Each one feels insignificant. There is no peel to remove, no core to work around, no natural friction that forces you to pause and consider whether you have had enough. By the time most people stop, they have consumed the sugar equivalent of a candy bar, and they had no idea it was happening. Yes, grapes contain resveratrol, a compound with genuine antioxidant properties. That benefit exists, but the portion control problem that grapes create in real-world eating is equally real. If you want to eat grapes, count them before you eat a single one. Put 10 or 12 in a small bowl. Put the bag away. Eat what you portion and stop there. Never eat directly from a bunch. Never. If this information is giving you a clearer picture of how to approach fruit, drop a comment below telling me which fruit surprised you the most. I read every comment, and your questions often shape future videos. Before we move on, I need to warn you about 2 dangers that are more serious than any individual fruit on either of these lists. The first is dried fruit, raisins, dried apricots, dried mango, prunes, dried cranberries, dates. Think about what drying does to fruit. You are removing the water. That is the entire process. But water is precisely what dilutes the sugar concentration in whole fruit. Remove the water and the sugar stays, now compressed into a tiny volume. A small handful of raisins carries a glycemic load of multiple whole grapes. The glycemic load of dried fruit regularly exceeds 30, sometimes 40. For people managing blood sugar, Dried fruit is not fruit. It is concentrated sugar wearing a health halo. Treat it that way. The second hidden danger is ripeness, and this relates to the biochemistry I mentioned with bananas. As any fruit ripens, starches inside convert to sugars. This is a continuous, predictable chemical process that happens across virtually all fruit. The riper the fruit, the higher the sugar content, and the faster that sugar absorbs. Choosing fruit at peak ripeness or slightly before genuinely reduces its glycemic impact. Waiting until fruit becomes soft and excessively sweet changes the metabolic equation against you. This is not about fear. It is about understanding that timing matters. I know many of you have been waiting to hear about watermelon. You notice it was not in the top 10 and not in the caution 5. That was intentional. Watermelon is genuinely unique and deserves its own explanation. From a glycemic index standpoint, watermelon scores above 72. That looks alarming on paper. But here is the paradox. The glycemic load of a standard 120-gram serving is only 4. How can that be? Because watermelon is 92% water. There simply is not much sugar in a realistic portion. Even though what sugar exists moves quickly, watermelon also contains a compound called L-citrulline that helps relax blood vessels and supports healthy blood pressure. For someone with diabetes, where cardiovascular risk is already elevated, that is a meaningful benefit. So in theory, moderate watermelon consumption is manageable for most people. But here is where I need you to be honest with yourself. Think about the last time you ate watermelon. Did you cut a precise portion, eat it, and genuinely stop? Or did you keep going because it was cold and sweet and refreshing and the bowl was right there? The trap is not in the watermelon itself. It is in what watermelon does to your sense of portion. The high water content makes it feel like nothing, so people eat far more than they realize. Only you know which category you fall into. Be honest with yourself about it. I want to speak to you directly for a moment. I know that managing blood sugar can feel exhausting. The conflicting information, the constant vigilance, the feeling that every food choice is either quietly helping you or slowly working against you. That is an exhausting way to move through the world. Here is what I also know from experience. Trying to change everything about how you eat in a single week is the most reliable path to changing nothing permanently. Radical overhauls feel powerful in the first few days. They rarely last beyond 2 weeks. Small, specific, consistent changes are what actually move the needle over months and years. Not perfection, progress. Here is what I want you to do starting tomorrow. Just one thing, not a complete lifestyle overhaul. One change. Look at your breakfast. Breakfast determines your glucose trajectory for the entire day. A high-sugar breakfast creates a cascade of cravings, reactive hunger, and elevated glucose that can follow you all the way through to dinner. A stable breakfast changes the arc of everything that comes after. If you currently start your morning with sweetened cereal, white toast, fruit juice, or a blended fruit smoothie, try this instead. 2 eggs, prepare any way you like, and 1 fruit from the top 10 list, eaten whole. A peach, a handful of strawberries, some cherries, an apple with the skin on. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive. The protein from the egg slows digestion and keeps you full. The fiber from a whole fruit does the same. Together, they create a stable foundation. Here is what most people notice within the first few days. The mid-morning crash disappears. The craving that usually hits an hour after breakfast fades. The fatigue, the sudden hunger, the brain fog. It largely goes away when your morning meal stops being a hidden glucose spike. Start there. 1 meal, 1 change. Give it 5 days and pay attention to what your body tells you. When that change feels normal, add the next one. Progress built on small, consistent wins becomes permanent. Perfect plans abandoned in frustration do not. Let me bring everything together. The 10 fruits you can eat with confidence because they combine low glycemic index with low glycemic load are plums, pears, apples, passion fruit, whole oranges, kiwi, strawberries, guava, peaches, and fresh cherries. These are not just acceptable options. They are genuinely therapeutic. They provide nutrients that protect your cardiovascular system, support immune function, and help your body manage glucose more effectively. The 5 fruits that require serious caution are papaya, pineapple, mango, bananas, and grapes. They are not forbidden. They are demanding smaller portions, attention to ripeness, never in dried or blended form, always paired with protein when possible. And 2 rules that sit above everything else. Whole fruit always beats juice or smoothies. Less ripe fruit always carries less sugar than fruit that has become soft and overly sweet. Managing blood sugar is not a war against food. It is a project of understanding. The more precisely you understand how the foods you eat behave inside your body, the more freedom you actually have, not less freedom. More. If someone in your life is managing their blood sugar and struggling to make sense of all the conflicting information about fruit, share this video with them. It might change how they approach something they have been confused or afraid about. That kind of share means more than any algorithm. If you are not subscribed yet, this is the moment. Subscribe to Health Unveiled and turn on notifications. We make these videos because we believe clear, science-based information in the hands of real people changes health outcomes. That is what this channel is about. Take what you learned today and put it into practice. Start with breakfast. Start tomorrow. Pay attention to how your body responds. Your health is built one choice at a time. Make the next one count. I will see you in the next video.